In the NAR lawsuit, Burnett versus NAR, the jury finds NAR guilty of violations of the Sherman Act and fines them $1.8 billion. What does that mean for real estate? So the plaintiffs of the case successfully negotiated that NAR's practices are anti-competitive, that they claim that NAR is a cartel, and they say that for buyers, the free ride is over. So let's address the anti-competitive practices and talk about what one of the biggest complaints of the whole lawsuit is that why, if you're selling a house, are you paying for the buyer's realtor? That'd be like you suing somebody and you're paying for the defendant's lawyer. It makes no sense, right? Well, first let's break down what is the traditional commission. Usually the typical commission is 6%, 3% for the buyer, 3% for the seller. That's been the rule of thumb that people have used for a while now. Now, why is it that the seller pays for the buyer side representation, which is the focal point of this whole entire argument? The sellers are all complaining, why do I need to pay for their representation? Well, that's how we get real estate deals done. Okay. A lot of buyers, they work and they save, they work and they save. Back in the days, it used to be 20% down, then it goes to like 10%, then 5%. Let's say for an FHA buyer, it's 3.5% down. For a $1 million house, that is $35,000. For a $500,000 house, it's $17,500. So you're paying your realtor 3% to list, and the 3% to the buyer's agent is basically like a marketing fee. Now, you don't have to pay that. You don't have to pay any of this. All commissions are negotiable, right? So, hey, in like 2012 and 13, when houses were selling for like $70,000 or $80,000 here in Las Vegas, you see a lot of commissions at 4% each side for a total of 8%. Because that just made it so that you could get deals done, because so many agents left the business because they weren't making any money, that you had to, one, on the sales side, offer more to the selling agent so that they worked harder for the property. And you had to offer a bigger commission for the buyer's agent to say, please get me a buyer, please. The buyer's agent should be considered a marketing fee rather than paying someone else as representation. And this is where I believe the NAR lawyers really failed in their whole entire argument, is they only talked about the representation part, not realizing that if you want to find someone who buys your house, who knows a lot of people who are trying to buy a house? Realtors. So if you want that realtor to bring you a buyer, you offer a commission for it. So it's in part representation, but if you just want representation, you could hire a lawyer. But when you have a realtor, you don't have to pay any money up front. You only have to pay when you close. They offer all the customer service and they go through the houses and show everything with you, and they negotiate on your behalf. And it's far cheaper than just hiring a traditional lawyer, which is why realtors exist. 3% to the buyer, 3% to the seller. When things went crazy in the past few years, in 2021, early 2022, the real estate market blew up. I mean, you talk to half the realtors in Las Vegas, they're going to list your house for 1%. If it's for one of my investor friends, I'll still list their house for 1%. If it's more expensive than like $350,000, the days of somebody listing a house for 3% is just going down lower and lower and lower now that house prices are looking like phone numbers. Now that's here in the Southwest. If you're in Ohio and things are selling for $160,000, I would assume that realtors are getting 3%. But for places like California, where their house prices look like phone numbers, they're listing their house for $2 million. Should you be paying your realtor $60,000 to list the house? No, pay them 1%, pay them $20,000, and they'll still happily list the house for you. The average for California is about like 1% for listing agents and 2% for buying agents. And why? Because the houses are so expensive that if you're getting that big of a commission, then more realtors are willing to do it because they think that's a fair market price. Remember, Adam Smith economics, old-fashioned 1781 or whenever he wrote the book Wealth of Nations, all those principles apply to everything. When something pays a lot, more people will enter that workforce, and that will dumb the price down. When everybody leaves, like in the Great Recession, then everybody's commissions went up because a lot of realtors said, hey, this whole realtor thing just isn't worth it, which is why you often saw commissions at 4% or higher between the years of 2008 all the way to maybe 2014 or 15. When I first became a realtor in 2015, I showed multiple houses where the commission was 3.5 or 4 or 5%, especially from new homes, because they were trying to do anything they could to bring them a buyer. Please bring us a buyer, please. We just need to sell this house. And back then it was very hard to sell houses, even though looking back at it, they were all dirt cheap. I mean, looking back at things, oh my God, just how cheap everything was. Okay, so now for why does the seller pay for the buyer's agent's commission, which is a good question. So there's two reasons. Number one, in what other place do you pay for the salesperson's commission? I mean, if you're looking at real estate people, just like salespeople, you go to a used car dealership and, hey, here's $15,000 for this used car and then $1,500 to pay for our sales rep. You know, you go to the Apple store, hey, here's like $1,100 for your MacBook Pro and then the $50 commission to the genius who sold it to you. In no other place do they separate the commissions. The commissions are just all done on the back end. And for a lot of places where you need financing, when you need financing, it just makes it so that more deals get done. And then here's reason number two, because I took a lot of offense when the lawyer said the free ride is over. And they think it's some type of free ride just because sellers are paying for the buyer's agent's commission. It's like they've never seen a first-time home buyer before. It's like when a first-time home buyer saves up for that 3% down on that $400,000 house, which is $12,000. They work and they save and they work and they save, and if they're doing $1,000 a month, then that's a year's worth of working and saving just to get that $12,000. And then they have additional closing costs, which hopefully we can get the seller to pay for. And then they're going to pay for the realtor's commission too. I mean, anything else that takes away from that $12,000 kills the deal. Right now, I'm primarily an investor. I'm primarily a flipper, sometimes a wholesaler, and I'll sometimes do real estate on the traditional way. But back in 2015, 16, 17, where all I did was just be a traditional real estate agent, I mean, I saw so many files to where like paying $300 for the inspection would take them out. I saw deals where it's like $500 for an appraisal. They couldn't pay that. $500 for an appraisal sounded like $50,000 to an appraisal for them because they didn't have it either way. I worked with VA clients because with VA, you could put 0% down. A VA client who hasn't been saving for any period of time, they can't pay any of these fees. So I mean, real estate is such a big industry, such an expensive industry. I don't want to say that that's just the way it is, but if you want more business to be done, then when a seller pays for their fees, that's how you just get more business to be done because the loans are not going to pay for it. And then that gets us to our next part. Okay, so now let's go to NAR is a cartel. In what world? In what world are we conspiring with each other? And everybody is just trying to do what's within their best interest. That's it. There's no conspiracy. They don't conspire to keep these commissions higher. The way that they got to that is they use some websites and YouTube channels where they're like, hey, realtors, protect your 3%. You got to protect your 3%. I mean, that's just a sales tactic. It's just teaching realtors how to demand more for their services. And can you blame them? It's just a sexy title, but that doesn't mean that we're conspiring. I understand their argument, and they won with that argument because the plaintiffs' lawyers were way better than NAR's lawyers. That is no question at all. But the same Adam Smith economics apply. Hey, these people go in to list your house. Some say 3, some say 2.5, some say 2, some say 1. One of the arguments was that, sellers can offer a buyer's agent anything that they want. But then the plaintiffs argued that, no, we can't offer them less because if we're offering buyer's agents 2% and everybody else is offering them 3%, then our house will never sell. Our house will never get shown. Well, yeah, no duh. That's the way it works. You're offering a commission to somebody. And if you offer a higher commission, it gets sold easier. When I have problems selling a flip, I'll raise the commission to 3.5%. What does that do? That brings more people here because when you offer a higher incentive, you get more people come through the door. That's obvious. That's why they invent like coupons. You get all the coupons in the mail. It's like, okay, well, this thing wasn't as valuable at this price, but now that I got this coupon, I could get it for this price. And now I want to pay for it. The more incentives that you give out there, the more that you're going to get back. That's just business. That's not collusion in any way. It's just business practices that have been around since the beginning of time. If there's salespeople out there and one person is offering this commission and another's offering that commission, who are you going to go to? The one offering the highest commission. And you're not supposed to do this, by the way. So NAR is very against anything like redlining or especially redlining, but in this case it is steering, going to the house that you want. They're against steering for other purposes. But I mean, that's the truth of the matter. You're just going to end up talking better about the house that offers a higher commission. That's life. This is so common sense that I don't know why it needs no more conversation than that. But as far as being a cartel, there is no collusion between brokerages. Collusion between brokerages would be like, hey, nobody used Prestige Realty. Nobody showed their houses. There's none of those conversations. I've worked at 4 brokerages now. At none of the brokerages did they have conversations with like, hey, we're all agreeing that we're only going to take the 3% for the buy and the sell. And when they see these people, we're just always going to trash that company. That's against NAR bylaws. It's against the Sherman Antitrust Act. It is not something that realtors do. There is no collusion between realtors. There's no collusion between the companies. I don't know how our lawyers could not fight that case. NAR lost the lawsuit, so what's next? Option number 1, this is kind of like our best case scenario. NAR will address some of the complaints that they had. One of them was you're not allowed to not offer the buyer commission. They've already made it so that now you can offer the buyer $0. This is probably the highest case scenario in the short term that there will be these little changes, but the more likely changes are the next ones. Number 2, the buyer's agent's commission will go to the other side of the settlement statement, meaning that the buyer is responsible to pay it. Obviously, no buyers have that. You must have been raised with the silver spoon in your mouth to ever believe that a buyer would actually have that much money without killing the deal. And the problem of solving this is too big. There is no loan that will pay for a buyer's agent's commission. I believe that if these rules end up going down, that mortgages will have to change the rules and mortgages will have to take into account paying for the buyer side commission. Now, number 3, and there's a few ways that this could happen, and this is the one that I find to be the most unique, is that agents are going to compete on their commission, which is something that they've never had to do before. And that's something that listing agents have always had to do. They walk into their listing appointment and they say, this is how much I charge, this is why you should pay me it, and here's what you're going to get in return. Buyers have never had to have that conversation, but they're going to. They're going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I am the ultimate luxury agent. I charge 3%. This is what I get. This is why you could trust me. This is what I do. Then the next person comes and they say, hey, I'm a newer agent. I'm going to help you better than all them. I'm going to charge 2%. Hey, I'm an even newer agent and I'm really ambitious and I'm going to work so hard for you and I don't have the track record, but I'm going to buy your house for 1% commission. What do you say? And this is a conversation that realtors have never had to have, but they're going to. And what does that mean? So not only are you going to start negotiating your commissions, but there's going to start being niches, even far more than there is right now. But there's 2 ways that this could happen. Are you going to negotiate this so that the buyer pays it on the settlement statement? Or do you negotiate this so that you're bringing it to the seller so that when the seller's looking at offers, let's say it's in the cheaper price range, because here's when it's most likely to happen. It's like, hey, in the cheaper price range, we got this offer at 305 and they get a 3% commission, or this offer at 303 and they get a 2% commission. Well, you're going to take the offer that's less money that has the lower commission because it's a higher amount for the seller. And this is something that's going to get negotiated. And this is something that I find to be very probable. I think that it will completely change the dynamics of being a realtor because right now you go from being just a customer service person who never has to have that conversation. It's just like, hey, let's open doors. Let's go see the house. I don't charge anything. The seller pays it. Let's just go see houses. It's so fun. I'm the fun agent. To it will only be true salespeople, only cutthroat. I will stab the other person in the jaw if I don't get the listing, like just cutthroat sales. And I think that will change what the real estate landscape looks like. And by the way, this isn't supposed to happen in real estate. So as a realtor, you're not allowed to bad talk any other realtor. But when you get all these agents who get all these listings, what do you think they're doing to get those listings? Do you think that no realtors bad talk other realtors? It's the most common in luxury agents and listing agents. And we have to all pretend like they don't do it, or that we don't do it, but they do because it's cutthroat. Luxury is cutthroat. Listings are cutthroat. And then as soon as buyers have to start showing their worth and buyers have buyer agent agreements, and then this person will offer 3%, and then you're undercutting them at 2.5, undercutting them at 2, undercutting them at 1.5. I think that this negotiation, do you want to lose all your money? This is the number one most important purchase of your life. Are you going to let that child represent you for 1.5%, or do you want an experienced professional to represent you at 3%? And I think that real estate is going to go from the nice customer service, fun, let's just take pictures on Instagram business that it is right now, to cutthroat sales, absolute dastardly cutthroat sales. That'll change a lot of things. It'll change the dynamics of real estate. I mean, right now, realtors are 60% women. I would imagine that if this plays out, it'll completely flip and it'll go to either 50-50 or 60% men and 40% women, because women love having fun and being nice and opening the doors. I don't think that they want to be that cutthroat. And as soon as these things get implemented, real estate will be the most cutthroat, dangerous game out there on the streets. That's just my 2 cents. This is what I think will happen. It may or may not happen like that, but I do believe so. Now for number 4, the one that is the most unlikely in the immediate future, but is very likely for the far future, is the founder of Zillow is the same person who founded Expedia. He chopped the heads off of travel agents, and his intentions is to do the same when he opens Zillow. That has been his intentions since day one. Now Zillow has claimed other things. They've claimed that they love agents, but they don't. They want to do exactly what Expedia did. It's the same guy. It's the same guy. It's the same guy. They want to get rid of real estate agents. So in the future, it'll probably be something like when you want to list your house, you just pay Zillow a flat fee to list it on their platform, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. There's no agent there. There's no agency, no representation. Then when you want to see it, a buyer just goes, they see your house on Zillow, they click that they want to show on the portal. The buyer will click through, they get the showing, they see it with the agent. They use all of Zillow's contracts to facilitate the transaction. Zillow will probably promote their own title company or something like that within it. And that's what the whole entire real estate industry is. And there will be no realtors. I don't know whether that is scary or exciting, because as a realtor, as an investor, I'll make so much money. As an investor, it'll just be easy money everywhere. I mean, I would just give up my real estate license off the bat, because why would I ever keep it, right? I mean, the amount of wholesalers out there who are sophisticated, who will go out to all these unrepresented sellers. What, everyone's just unrepresented? And then they're just going to go to these sellers and they're going to negotiate the best deals. And for the more unique areas, like Zestimate is really good for like cookie cutter homes. But the more unique the home is, the more that the Zestimate just has no idea, right? They have no idea what the truth is. So the more sophisticated that you are as a player, now that everyone's unrepresented, I think there's going to be a lot of scams, a lot of corruption. There's going to be a lot of chaos within real estate. But if the laws keep on going this way, then that's exactly what they want. And I wish I had more guidance from the court system of like, we need to be licensed agents. You know, you have to go through all these licenses and certifications in order to be a licensed real estate agent and then be a realtor. Do you want that? Do you want there to be real estate agents, or do you want people just sell their houses, these, you know, in some cases, multi-million-dollar transactions? Do you want that just to all be handled online? This isn't a question for the attorneys in this case. This is a question for the court systems in America, and then for the politicians in America. Do you want people doing these things completely unrepresented? Because if you are, man, there's going to be so many deals. There's going to be so many deals. There will be so many sales with unrepresented people who will just be absolutely swindled. And a lot of bad things will happen as a result of that. And people will start to understand why there was a realtor to begin with, because realtors are not travel agents. What's the worst thing that could happen with a travel agent? You just go and say you want these flight tickets, and then you get these flight tickets. But that's not what real estate is. There's flood zones, there's disasters, there's age of the home, there's things that could go bad, there's this area versus that area. There's a lot of things that a realtor has to know and to guide them through the process. And when you're selling a home, you have to sign these disclosures, because if not, you're going to get sued like crazy on the back end. If everybody's listing their homes through Zillow and you are somebody who has as much experience as me, not saying I would do it, but damn it if I won't be tempted, to where I could just buy their house, I'll know that they filled out things on the disclosure wrong, and then sue their ass off on the back end. Why couldn't I do that? There's nothing stopping me from doing that. I know that they're going to fill out the SRPD wrong. I absolutely know it. And then you could sue them like crazy on the back end. There's going to be something that they screw up. It's just really, really dangerous. This is what they're asking for. I hope that this doesn't happen. It seems like this is the way that things are happening. And then lastly, so what are you going to do as a realtor? If NAR appeals this case, which they will, and they lose, if they lose this case, which is like the easiest case to win that's out there, like the arguments that I made right here, this is the easiest argument to argue. This is like easy mode. And the fact that they couldn't argue it, like where did we get our lawyers from? Discountlawyers.com? Lawyers Are Us? Like 5th page of Craigslist or something like that? This is ridiculous. If you can't show that we are not anti-competitive, how'd you even pass the bar, buddy? Like this is the easiest thing to prove. There's countless cases when things were super hot. People were taking not 3%, not 2%, but like 1%, less than 1% fees just to list houses because they knew it would sell right away. Buyers would be like, hey, mess the 3%. They're showing houses at 2, showing houses at 1, showing houses at 1.5. I've seen realtors take almost nothing and then have to negotiate their price up, or they don't. But that's as competitive as it comes. And now that the real estate market has gone down a bit, we went all the way to like 18, 19 or 20,000 agents. And now we're back all the way down to 14,000 because it's less valuable to be an agent right now. But now that it's less valuable to be an agent, commissions go back up because not everybody's willing to do it because it's not easy money anymore. And that's the definition of competition. And there's a million people who will take your spot. To say that the traditional 3% buyer, 3% sales side is our traditional thing and that's what stands, that is hardly the norm. Commissions are way down because there's way more people who are willing to do it for less, which is the definition of competition. And I'm very disappointed that they can't win this argument. I think this was an easy slam dunk case, and it makes me consider distancing myself from NAR. When I'm looking at NAR and what they do and how much money we pay them, it's like, what the f is the point? You don't have my back, so why should I have yours? You can't do anything for us. Now, the local association of realtors, I'm a major donor for RPAC, the Political Action Committee. They stopped rent control happening, which was supposed to happen in Las Vegas, and they stopped it. I was very proud of them. But NAR can't do anything. They've proven to be incompetent in the lowest form. I don't know what they do for us. I mean, do we have realtor healthcare? Do we have realtor anything? Do we have any realtor benefits? Does anything good happen out of being a realtor? What have they done for us in the past 10 years that's worth talking about? So, do you go down with the ship? Do you jump off the ship? Do you grab a bucket? Do we distance ourselves from NAR and focus on our local MLS? I think that might be the most logical case. Do we scrap NAR completely and set up a new NAR that isn't so incompetent? It's possible. Do I not know enough about what NAR does, so maybe I'm not arguing on their behalf as well? That's also possible. I don't know a single good thing that they've done for us since I've been a realtor. So you either have a messaging issue or you truly haven't done anything for realtors. But how have I been a realtor for 8 years and I don't know a single good thing you've done for us? But yet I've given you thousands of dollars, and all of us realtors have given you thousands of dollars, and you make more than $250 million a year from realtors. These are questions to be asked. And these are things that we all have to consider, and things within our local MLSs and within our local markets have to consider. So thank you for watching. Let me know your comments and opinions down below. This is a little different from the norm because we're focusing a little bit more on realtors on this one, but this court case is so big that it changes real estate as a whole, and I think it's very valuable for everyone to know. Comment your questions and opinions. Please like the video, and thank you for watching.